How are you all doing? Woo! Are you ready for a very, very exciting AstriCon? Of course you are. I'll just try that again. Are you ready for a very exciting AstriCon? Yes, of course you are. As you know, something quite momentous has happened a few weeks ago, and it's drawn a level of attention that is very exciting for everybody concerned. We've had all sorts of people come out of the woodwork to AstriCon that haven't been for, at least 3 or 4 years. And so it's good to see everybody along. My name's David Duffy. I'm the Worldwide Community Director. Very excited to be here. And we thought, given that this is an open source community of transparency, we would have an Ask Them Anything panel. And for historic reasons, I quite like the idea of ATA as the kind of set of initials for it. I thought that would work very nicely. Just a side note. Anyway, what I'd like to do is welcome up to the stage some key people from both Sangoma, the acquirers, and Digium, the acquirees, or however you might say that. And we're going to then open the floor to questions from you, where you can literally ask anything. There are certain parameters, and Tony will explain some of that when he comes up. In fact, let's get him up first. It's Tony Lewis, COO of Sangoma. Have a seat. Have a seat, Tony. Okay, and then, all right, and then we'll get Matt Frederickson. No, we're saving that special pronouncement, Matt. Matt Frederickson, the lead for the Asterisk project. Matt. Closely followed by Brian Walters, VP of Software Engineering at Sangoma. And then if you look very carefully at the slide, you'll see they got Matt Jordan's name slightly out there. It's Matt Jordan. Welcome. CTO. Matt is the CTO at Digium. And so what I'd like to do is just allow these gentlemen to introduce themselves so that you can hear from them, and then we'll just go straight into open questions. So Tony, you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. My name's Tony Lewis. I'm with Sangoma Technologies. I'm the COO at Sangoma. I oversee support, engineering, pretty much everything but marketing and finance. I'm happy to be here. I've been to AstriCon for, 10 years now. We're going to go through and ask us anything. We're going to try to be as transparent as we can. One thing I do want to say is a little different for the community inside of Asterisk is Sangoma is a publicly traded company. And as a publicly traded company, we have to be careful what we do, what's called selective disclosure, which means we can't come to a group here and disclose something big that we haven't disclosed to the markets first. So there may be some questions you might ask, probably not, but if you do, we may have to say, I'm sorry, we can't talk about that. We're going to try to be as transparent as we can, but as a public company, we do have some regulations that we have to follow. So beyond that, we're trying to be open here.
Okay, thank you. Matt.
All right, my name is Matt Frederickson, and I worked at Digium since about 2001, so for a number of years. I'm currently the head of the Asterisk project. I inherited that from Mr. Jordan a few years ago, and it has been a delight being able to work more intimately and closely with the Asterisk community. I've enjoyed that a lot, for those of you that haven't met me already. And I have recently learned about this public disclosure knowledge thing as well, selective disclosure thing, and so I'm learning about how it applies to my job as well, which is complicated. Anyway, thank you all for coming today.
Okay.
I'm Brian Walters. I'm VP of Software Engineering at Sangoma. Some of the things that I oversee there is the FreePBX project, PBExact, Zulu, UC, if anyone's used that. I've been involved with FreePBX and Asterisk since about 2007. Some of you guys I know, a lot of you I don't. If not, come to our booth and say hi.
Thank you.
Matt Jordan, CTO at Digium, now part of Sangoma. Really happy to be able to say that, actually. It's really cool. For a long time, as Matt F. alluded, we always have to say Matt F., by the way, because there's like lots of Matts at Digium. The joke is, like if you say, I emailed Matt, nobody knows what you mean. So as Matt F. was alluding to, I used to run the Asterisk project a couple of years ago, handed the reins over to Matt. He's done an absolutely fantastic job the last couple of years. I think he's really nurtured the project and brought it along. And that's really awesome to see the success and to see everybody who is still coming to AstriCon and new people coming to AstriCon makes it very exciting. For the last couple of years, I've been very focused on Digium's cloud efforts, particularly in the R&D side of things. I like all those kinds of bits. If you just came from Leif Madsen's Kubernetes / OpenShift talk, where did I go with that? I liked it. It was really cool. So, anyways, those are the kinds of things that we like to kind of play around in the R&D side on, and that's kind of been a lot of fun for us as well, just to kind of look at where that technology space is going.
Great, thanks for
Hey,
those
Matt, do you
introductions.
remember 2 years ago at AstriCon? And there was that famous picture taken. We were going like this. That was some signs
Purely
of things
coincidence.
To come. Yes. That was not selective disclosure.
Almost a tweetable moment, that. So the way we're going to do this is we've got 2 mic runners. We've got lovely Tash somewhere, who's got a microphone there. We've got lovely James over here, who's right close to the mic. And so if you've got a question, raise your hand and they will come to you. Julie, since there's a lot of people here, can I ask you to also keep track of who's raising their hands so we get to everybody as well? First one in the front row, it's only AstriCon veteran, James Bodie.
We're vetoing James.
Is this a dangerous
Yes, sorry,
question?
James, they can't answer that one.
Yep.
1, 2. Yeah, it's on. Yeah. So, a warmer into the bank. One of the great things about AstriCon is that it's not just Asterisk, it's the complete ecosystem, and the community side of it is brilliant. That's one of the reasons why there's so many people here, and everybody comes to AstriCon to start off from. So, Tony, this is aimed at you. What are the plans, the great Sangoma plan for AstriCon in years to come? I'm really keen to find out.
Fair question.
I don't foresee that changing. I mean, AstriCon is about the community. It's where the excitement for Asterisk is growing. It's where we talk a lot about what's coming out in Asterisk. Over the years, FreePBX has been very involved in AstriCon. We used to do a FreePBX World event here. So I don't foresee how AstriCon works or the idea of AstriCon changing. Maybe its times will change. Maybe it'll be co-located with another event someday. Not sure. Don't know on that answer. But as far as AstriCon going away or the meaning behind AstriCon really being about the open source and side of Asterisk and it becoming commercialized, I don't see that happening at AstriCon. It's not the clientele and what we're trying to do with AstriCon.
I can see James twitching. I think I can anticipate what he's going to ask. Well, he's made allusions to the open source community. We've got the Free Switch guys here. We've got the Homer guys here.
Yep.
I guess that's part of the question
But
as
just
well.
like FreePBX was a member of AstriCon for years, we did our FreePBX World here, and you guys embraced FreePBX into AstriCon. So, we come with open arms. It's an open source telephony, so Asterisk is a big part of it. But I see Anthony's here. I think 2nd year in a row, Anthony. Which is great from Free Switch. The Homer guys, Fred from Camilio. These are great things. What makes open source telephony so fun.
And Daniel from Camellia as well.
That's right.
Class.
That is exactly the answer I wanted.
Okay.
So not only do you consider it answered, but answered in the way you want it as well. How about that? Who's got our next question? At the front there, Natasha. Thank you.
What's your plan for the DCAP program? The first one, and if you decide to deprecate it, are the current DCAPs going to be grandfathered into the new program?
DCAP's about Asterisk, so there would be no plans of deprecating that. The training program as a whole will come together. So right now there's a training program at Sangoma, there's one at Digium. That department will come together. They'll offer training, whether it's on phones or SwitchVox or Asterisk or FreePBX. Those teams will come together, but DCAP itself and what DCAP means isn't going to change.
Any answers from the Matt somewhere?
I liked his answer.
Sounded good to me as well. Yeah. I mean, decap, it definitely is. It's got a D in it, right? I guess that's kind of the question. I don't know what that
it could become scat.
I don't know which layer of the question you're.
We'll send you a sticker.
So
that
does
you
the
can put
name
over.
change? Maybe. I hadn't thought of that yet. That's really a marketing product management decision. I wouldn't think so. There's a lot of, just like we'd never change the name of Asterisk, there's a lot of meaning behind it. I'm not going to go change the name of Dottie to get rid of Digium on it. Digium's a Sangoma company, so.
Okay. All righty. Who's our next one? We've got Dan at the front. So James, if you'd like to give a mic to Dan. And then we've got Alex near the back over there.
Maybe not anytime soon, but will Digium, the company, disappear and everything will get put into Sangoma? because I can only imagine 2 marketing teams and 2 training teams, like you were just saying, at which point Digium isn't really anything anymore and doesn't need to be anything anymore, and it's just Sangoma.
So in the interest of transparency, that decision has not been made. Does the Digium name stay or not? There are companies who've succeeded keeping 2 different names. There's been discussions internally of, do we rename Sangoma to Digium? Do we keep the Sangoma name? Do we do Sanginium or some combination of the 2? Sangomium. We've looked at a lot of different options.
I like Sangomium because it sounds like an element. Right?
With a symbol.
So I will say,
The other direction, Digigoma, sounds like I've got a medical condition. So that's my vote, but
so we've talked about it way beyond just the marketing team. I don't know if Jim Mackey's here, who runs.
He's flying late.
He's flying in now. So Jim Mackey runs all of marketing for Sangoma and Digium. That's who David now works for. He was a Sangoma employee. When we acquired Digium, Danny and Leslie, who were married, Danny CEO and Leslie was VP of marketing, didn't come with the new company. So Jim stepped in and took over the marketing role at Digium, and there's been a lot of discussions internally between marketing, sales, product management of what do we do with the names. We don't know, to be honest. Yes. Mark, come up here. Mark, come on.
Okay. Thanks.
We got a seat right here for you, Mark.
Saved a seat for you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Okay, so I think we've got. Nice to see you on. That's what happens when you walk in a room. We've got Alex at the back with the next question, please.
Hi. I think this may track Dan's question somewhat and probably ventures into the labyrinth of selective disclosure. But to the extent that Digium is Digium and a Sangoma company, is that, to what degree is that elusive of your approach to future governance? I mean, this is complementary to Dan's question, but notwithstanding names, will Digium continue to exist in Huntsville? Will it continue to have its office there? Will it more or less gather its current shape? To what extent will Digium be constituted in the foreseeable future?
So Huntsville remain a very large operation for Sangoma. We have a very long-term lease there, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon. There's a lot of staff there, so as far as Huntsville as a large epic center, I can tell you, even in the Sangoma world, there are more people out of Huntsville than Sangoma has at any single office. We're a much more diverse around the world offices. We have 2 offices in India, UK, Ecuador, Colombia, where else, Brian?
Canada.
Canada, Cleveland, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Buffalo. We have offices everywhere. So we don't have an office with 100 plus people in it. Our biggest office has maybe 40 people in it.
Can I throw out maybe an addendum to what you're talking about
Yes.
there, Tony? So one of the things that I think really makes this work is that the cultures at the company, while there's some differences between the cultures that were at Digium and Sangoma, there's a lot of similarity between the culture. And so regardless of the name or physical locations, there's a lot of, when you look at an acquisition kind of thing, trying to make sure that companies are going to actually fit together and match well together. We're both open source companies. This is something that we do. This is something that we're used to. And we had a very similar way of looking at the world. So I think, regardless of the name that's on the outside of the building, it's it feels normal, right, coming into work every day.
Okay, thanks for that, Matt. I see we've got Alexandra at the back with the microphone there.
I'm on? Yeah, I'm on mic. Well, I'm the top-notch developer I learned today. So I'm the top-notch external developer, distributed 800 commits or something. No, I don't know. Anyway, I have a wild card on that. So I'm unemployed currently. I have a wild card on that. So I have no responsibility to anyone else. So I can ask the tough questions. We talked about the long-term decisions. What about the mid-term decisions? You all have hardware desktop phones. You both have hardware desktop phones. Any decisions on that, which to ditch, or do we see all 3 lines going on, or what's the story on that?
Product line
Yeah,
question.
product line question. So your example is, for example, phones. So Sangoma's got phones, Digium has phones. Is one line going to go away anytime soon? No. Will a line go away someday? Yeah, phones evolve, right? Look at the original line of Digium D-series phones, then they came out with the D6. So as that normal evolution happens over the next few years, that's when you'll see more of that combining of phone lines. But between now and the normal evolution, no. I mean, they're a big chunk of revenue for both companies, and we can't do anything to disrupt that revenue.
Okay, who's got our next question? I noticed, by the way, that so far the questions have been like of a commercial and a corporate nature, and
I was
not about
expecting to
Asterisk, the open source
I
project,
was
or
expecting to sit here and
FreePBX.
say nothing and let these
So,
guys talk
we've
about
got Dan back in the front there.
I'm going to go off the commercial and into Asterisk. How much of a influence will Sangoma / FreePBX / anything else that Sangoma is doing have effects on Asterisk plans? Yeah.
Sure. Do you mind if I take this one, Tony?
No, take it.
So, excuse me. As many of you already know, as a project, or at least the Digium employees that are responsible for working on the Asterisk project, because the project is bigger than just the Digium employees that work on it, right? There are a bunch of external people that very regularly work on it, but there are a number of software developers that work full-time on the Asterisk project within Digium, and we already have large commercial customers that we work for, right? We work for the SwitchFox team in San Diego. We also have people that have licensing agreements and SLAs with us and things like that that we work for, and we have different conditions that are attached to that work. Now, we have the FreePBX team to work for as well. So for us, this is another customer that we have to keep happy, that we meet their needs for and things like that. And it just, for us, it's a natural iteration on a behavior we already have.
And I would add to that, just because you guys wouldn't know that, but for example, the FreePBX project has had a commercial agreement with Asterisk and Digium for years on us being able to push features and bugs that we needed. It was something David Hardy and I worked out, 8 years ago. So that influence has always been there. Nobody knew it, but that influence has always been there. And FreePBX itself is a very large install base for Asterisk, the largest install base for Asterisk. So we've already kind of had that influence, and it hasn't affected Asterisk. So it would remain the same way it is. Most things FreePBX would want is, whether you use FreePBX or not, is great for the community, things that we've pushed to get into Asterisk over the years. So I would expect to see that continuing to evolve and work the same way it has.
I think I'd also add to that, Tony, that as Matt pointed out earlier, there's a lot of similarities between the companies and the teams, and FreePBX has always relied on Asterisk as that core engine, so we've always tried to push things back upstream and really work with Digium to go ahead and make the product better as a whole. So I don't see that changing.
Sounding very positive. Who is our next questioner? Just there. Tash, can you find that gentleman, please? Thank you.
This question's for Tony. They touched briefly on the phones. So let's ask about the product, FreePBX, and the product, SwitchFox. SwitchFox, I think, more competes with the PBExact line. But like any big car manufacturer who has multiple vehicles within their stable, are you going to continue to run both platforms?
Yes. Again, kind of like phones, SwitchFox has got a lot of revenue attached to it, whether it's SwitchFox Premise or SwitchFox Cloud. We can't do anything to disrupt that. What you will see, and what we spend a lot of time during due diligence and talking, is the sharing of features. So instead of us both building something, so if we want to go and build a next-gen UC client, we're going to build that client to work on both applications. Or the queuing engine that is going in SwitchFox using ARI. You'll see that become an option in FreePBX. There'll be a lot more sharing of things between the two teams, but they're very different customer bases. SwitchFox is a very turnkey, don't want to tinker with things, don't get under the covers, where FreePBX is get under the covers, play with it, tinker with it. So completely different customer base.
Okay, thank you for that. Who's our next question person? There's one just there. It's our friend John. Can you say And Tash, right over the other side. Go ahead, John.
I have a question about the community support forums. Are those going to be combined? The community.asterisk, the community.freepbx, the mailing lists? How is that all going to come together? Is it going to come
Okay.
together?
So FreePBX doesn't have a mailing list, so
You
that
lucky
wouldn't be.
people. What?
Yeah.
I love
Forums,
mailing lists.
I don't think so, mainly because we happen to both use
We both use Discourse.
Discourse.
For our forums, but again, it goes back to kind of some comments that we've made earlier of there's very different, there's a lot of similarities between the communities, but there's a lot of differences as well. So we have to keep that in mind as well. While we're using the same technology behind them and we know how to manage that, it's, we have to think about the community.
I think the better answer to that would be, or add on to that will be, we want to go solve the single sign-on so at least the same user works across all the sites. So whether you go to community.asterisk or community.freepbx, or you go to our portal, or you go to one of the Digium portals for something, the first thing to go solve is all of our single sign-ons so that people have access to all sides of the businesses.
Okay, we've got one there. Tash, you seem to be doing most of the running here. Well done. Thank you. That's Alex again.
Yes, Digium and Sangoma also have two POTS interface hardware businesses, TDM, analog, and the rest. I guess those are the only options, really. I, at least, don't perceive those to be catering to two vastly different market segments or customer bases. What's the future of that?
So I would slightly disagree there. So inside the space here, you guys probably see them as the same. But inside of Sangoma, take our TDM lines of cards. A lot of that is sold in the data business still. Probably a third of the cards, half of the cards we sell are in the data side of the business still. And in the API side, so people who want to connect to the cards using our APIs of OnePipe, so they don't use Asterisk or FreeSwitch. Our cards do support FreeSwitch. I don't think the Digium cards do, last I knew. Maybe
Unless
through
somebody has written
FreeTDM.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our cards do support the FreeTDM stack that FreeSwitch uses. So they are kind of different. And then you get into the next whole line of our cards, which is the Dialogic cards that we bought a year ago. So you get into the Divas and CGs and these 15-year-old cards, and they're completely different beast.
SS7 gateway.
Yes, and yes. So inside the Astric community, you see them as overlapping, but we see them as very different. So our cards, the Sangoma, I keep saying ours, I'm sorry for that. The Sangoma cards will remain just because they have another clientele base, and the Digium cards will remain because they're very popular inside of Asterisk. We may decide to promote or push people more to one side. So we may say, if you're using Asterisk, use the Digium cards. You don't need OnePipe on top of it if you use the Digium cards. So that may be a product management positioning decision we make, but they serve different markets.
Thank you. Okay, who's our next one? Sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
Daniel. So so far you discussed about joining the efforts together, but somehow still keeping the same products or devices. Have you set like the immediate goal of a collaboration, like a project, to show that the teams now can work together, and that's it? Would be, I don't know, the next Asterix would be made together by, I don't know, taking from, I don't know, FreePBX, something that you like it or whatever. Do you have such a project, like
I'm just thinking, let's throw back to Matt Jordan
that's
first.
what I was doing.
Oh, man.
Video, Matt.
Well, the video is a good example, yeah. So as you guys are probably aware, Asterisk has spent, when did we kick off the SFU work, Matt?
It was 15 was the
Okay.
first major release.
So really it's been 2 releases now. We've been much more heavily investing in video. That's something that at this point is getting, I'd say, really at a point where it could be adopted by FreePBX, and you could probably see some pretty cool things coming into FreePBX that makes use of the video functionality that's been put in Asterisk. Tony's alluded to a number of, and there's been a lot of questions obviously around product sorts of things getting melded together. From just merging companies together, figuring out how you do business together, there is a mountain of systems that drive the businesses that is, I mean, nobody here cares about it, but we care a lot about it. Things that allow us to actually take orders and process orders and put things in boxes and ship them out the door, right? There's lots of opportunities for the teams at both companies to collaborate together on just making the engine work better and run better. And that's actually where probably some of our initial focus is going to be, rather than doing a large kind of massive project that's necessarily externally facing. But as Tony alluded to, there's lots of interesting opportunities in both SwitchVox, FreePBX, FreePBX to go take advantage of, with new features and capabilities to start slowly but surely pulling things and making it common across both PBX lines. There's interesting things with phones to start looking at. So there's lots of opportunities for us to start kind of thinking through how do we go provide different features, different capabilities for the different kinds of customers that are coming to us.
And can I add something on real quick?
Yeah.
I think that's great. And I think inevitably in the process that I go through in planning out what targets we want to hit for new major releases and things like that, the FreePBX team, at the very least, they're another group that I have a primary interest in figuring out how we can meet their goals as well, right? And so that's going to be a natural part of the planning process.
And you've historically done that for a lot of years. Not maybe as much as now you might, but it has. And one of the big challenges we came back was, one of the first things we came back with Matt was performance. Even during due diligence, it was performance. And you start seeing the work you did on PJ-SIP because we were pushing back on performance. And we're talking hints. We really need to spend some time on hints and subscriptions in Asterisk. It really kills us on dial plan reloads, the way that works. So, FreePBX is kind of, over the years, has gone from this SOHO to this mid-business to, we've got enterprises running, 5, 8, 10,000 users on a single box, and they're crippling over themselves with, some of it is FreePBX's design, of course, as 15-year-old design, and some of it is old Asterisk design that we've got to go do some improvements on both teams.
Thank you. We got one over here with David.
So two
And then
questions.
James. Go ahead.
One question, are we going to start seeing in the future more commercialization of Asterisk and that there's going to be more modules, but we're going to have to start paying for it? Or is it just going to continue as it is right now with the way open source is and everything's going to be released under a dual license?
So I will let Matt Jordan take that, because there's been discussions at Digium for a while on things related to that.
There's always, whenever you're running an open source project underneath the dual license, you're always looking at what makes sense for Digium to produce into the open source community versus do something commercially, right? Now, keep in mind, Asterisk is an open source project. There is literally nothing I can do to prevent anybody in this room from producing a patch to Asterisk and contributing it upstream. That's the beauty of open source. So regardless of whatever I may think, ooh, if we do this, we can make a module, anybody in this room can make a module too and submit it back to the project. So my notion of what should be commercialized versus open source is an opinion of one that does not impact anybody else in this room from using the project however they see fit. That's the beauty of the GPL, right? So let me just say that. At this point in time, we've got no plans to change the way we're doing Asterisk.
Part of it is Asterisk a framework where FreePBX is more an application.
Sure.
So when we commercialize things in FreePBX, it's an application for somebody versus a framework or development kit.
And exactly what Tony just said, I think you've also seen probably in the last couple of years, and Matt, you can talk some more about this too, we don't focus as much on the dial plan applications and the sort of app queue kinds of things. The community does a great job of doing things with those applications still today, but we've really been much more focused on PJ-SIP, ARI, sort of providing APIs and interfaces to let people go build things and doing the under the hood sort of plumbing, because that's what we think Asterisk provides the most value.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to. Thanks.
Okay.
And of course, with this being an open source project, there are commercial modules in FreePBX, but you could build your own if you wanted to, but it seems like a no-brainer to spend a little bit of money and do a shortcut there. David, do you want to come back on that briefly, because I've got a gentleman just there. Have you got anything else to say?
Another question, I'll wait.
Okay, let's go to this gentleman just there, please.
Michael LeBlanc Communications Group in Connecticut. We are enthusiastic sellers and installers of SwitchVox. We're excited about the merger, really excited. So Sangoma has a nice line of SPCs. I'm guessing those could help us deal with the mess that Digium got us into by creating this soft phone app that makes everyone run around using their phone anywhere they want, at home, not in a lockdown office, that's for sure. So is that something you're working on, giving us more security for our remote installations of all these branch offices and home users? I have another question after that.
Yeah, so it hasn't been looked at yet as far as SPC with SwitchVox. I mean, the Sangoma SPC is agnostic. I mean, it works with anything that's SIP compliant out there. So there'd be no reason it wouldn't work straight up with, no, because it's SIP only. So of course, DPMA would, could we write something through SPC to handle DPMA? There's a demand for it and there was a market and we could actually sell more SPCs. Sure, we're entrepreneurs, right? We're capitalists, we want to make money. So, if we can sell to SwitchVox SPCs and there's a need for it, let's build a business case for it.
Okay, and then I've heard, I'm not a programmer, and I wish that we had a better access to good API programmers. That documentation leaves a lot to be desired, at least on the Digium side. Will you be coming together with a better documentation level for everything? And could you create, please, this is the community right here, an ecosystem that lets business guys like me who can't program our way out of a garbage can to get access to people who want to make money so I can create really cool apps for my customers. Is there something like you could do for us?
We should think about that and talk about it.
That's the biz list already.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, there's differences between different kinds of developers too. One of the challenges I think we have always faced is that certain types of developers are attracted to the Asterisk community. And when you're trying to build applications on top of Asterisk, that's usually a very different kind of developer than the one that has traditionally come to the Asterisk community. I think that's one of the nice things actually that the FreePBX community brings to the table is just a very different kind of person who's been attracted to that gives us the ability to kind of point them towards some of the APIs and things that have been developed in Asterisk.
Yep. And just FreePBX and how everyone goes in and does a lot of modifications and builds stuff for it. A little exchange place potentially. Yeah, it's worth discussing. There's always the lawyer's hat has to go on of what's the liability to us now if we connect people together, but that stuff can be solved.
Thank you. Let's go back to David for his second bite of the cherry there.
So, real quick question, as far as WAN router goes, is there any plans to sort of morph that into DADI for, at least for Asterisk, they don't have to run anything extra? Because I'm still using a lot of TDM cards.
WAN router?
Yeah, to get rid of that or sort of make the functionality in DADI so I don't have to run WAN router on top of DADI. Because that's been one of my issues with the Sangoma cards.
Yeah. Is there a plan? No. And honestly, why? It's a lot of resources for a dying technology. We can put that resources into things that actually matter to people versus trying to extend out TDM that's dying. The people that want one pipe have it. The people that don't can use straight up DADI cards. Again, Digium cards. We don't care which cards you use. Yeah, Mark. You got a microphone?
Can we borrow that microphone real quick?
Just speak into your chest. Nothing awkward about that.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So I'll just say that when we first started doing our Digium cards at the time, of course, we had gotten introduced to Jim Dixon as the Zapata Softening project. We thought that the TDM card business would last probably 3 to 5 years, and that was in 2001. So yeah. There was an old saying, copper may be buried, but it's not dead, but it is kind of starting to get pretty long in the tooth. So yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. So the investment we'd never get a return on that investment. WAN pipe's 20-year-old code.
There's probably a few people in the room that hope fax will go in the same way, haven't they?
No, we love fax, please.
Okay, we've got a question down here. It's Tori. Go ahead, Tori.
So what color are you going to adopt, blue or orange?
Both. Haven't you seen? So FreePBX was historically orange, and Sangoma was blue. So blue and orange are our colors already.
That was a straight answer to a straight question right there, wasn't it? Okay.
What about the contributor agreement license on Asterix?
Yep.
So, you might get that one? Or you can.
Yeah, from a contract standpoint, Sangoma purchased Digium, everything transfers over. Sangoma's just a shareholder of Digium. So all of your contributor license agreements are still there, they're assignable. Their own, there's a new owner that owns Digium, but nothing's changed there. And Sangoma happens to use, thanks Michelle, we use the exact same contributor license agreement. We copied it from Digium 10 years ago, so we use the exact same language on ours.
We got Dan coming in for like a fourth one or something. Tash, James, can you deal with Dan there?
Mike?
Yeah, statute of limitations.
Now that we've got an awful lot of dev resource within Sangoma, does that mean more dev resource will get potentially assigned to Asterisk in the future? Which means we get more stuff out of Sangoma.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Or as an open source project.
I didn't want you to say that, but yeah, patch is welcome. But
yeah, patch.
No, it's good. For me, Sangoma is now the steward of two very big projects.
Not just for you, Dan.
Not just for
me,
everybody. For everyone. Yeah, so I wonder whether or not some of the FreePBX team that know Asterisk really well will eventually start working on some Asterisk stuff and be very agile between teams. And
so that would be our hope someday. So if we want to go tackle something big in Asterisk, we can pull off, some of the developers that know Asterisk at Sangoma, and vice versa. We could pull off, and if we want to go tackle something big in FreePBX for 3-4 months, if your answer is Asterisk going to get a bigger team full time, I don't think so, but we have a much bigger resource pool, so it's easier to move people on to go do big projects. Does that mean Asterisk's never going to get a bigger team? No. I mean, it's supply and demand, and as Asterisk grows and keeps growing, we have to put more people on it. But as it matures, it becomes, as you know, much harder to do stuff in. It's not as easy as it was when Mark came out with 1.2.
Uploaded from FTP.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go with Michael.
You never lost the source code to Asterisk, right?
Going to go with Michael on the front row now.
My question is for Mark. Mark, why did you sell Digium?
Straight in there.
I guess that's a good question. I don't know that I have a 100% direct answer, but I would say that, and I'll probably speak to this a little bit more tomorrow. I mean, Digium is maybe a little bit like having a child, and I don't have any children, but I used to be one, and so I think I can speak from experience. I still am in many, many ways. My friends are here with me will attest to that, but essentially, when you first start out, you're trying to create what it is that you want it to be, and as it grows, you get a lot more people that influence, and it sort of becomes its own personality, carries its own personality. And it's been more than 18 years, 19 years now, and I don't know, I guess about 8-9 years ago, I started playing around with airplanes, and that's kind of grabbed my attention, and I want to make sure that that the project continues on. There obviously the influence that the project has had on the industry and on lots of people's lives that have built businesses around Asterisk is really important. There are a lot of people, even obviously in Huntsville, whose livelihood depends on it, and it was important to find a good, stable partner to be able to connect Digium with to assure its continuation forward and to continue to advance the project in a way that will keep it being relevant, hopefully for much, much longer.
Thank you. I just want to ask a question of my own before we go to the gentleman at the back that sort of follows on from that. A lot of people do use FreePBX and do use Asterisk, but of course the Asterisk community is wider than just FreePBX, isn't it? There's
Absolutely.
Lots of people that have built. What will the attitude be in the future? It's been a very benevolent one to other people in the community. How's it looking for the future, do you think?
I would say the same. We kind of treat FreePBX that way too, and Asterisk got as big as it has and disrupted the industry it has because it was open arms and accepting and tried to support anyone and everyone.
Great, cool. Okay, gentleman right at the back there.
So half the question was already answered. So my question was, why acquire and why get acquired? Why acquire?
Why?
Oh, and why get acquired?
So you'll have to, I guess, speak to that one.
I think, this started 2 years ago, these discussions.
depending on how you look at it. The very original Asterisk did run on the Sangoma card.
Yeah, good point, good point.
Very original one because we didn't have Digium cards at that point.
Yes.
But,
but our discussions on an acquisition started at AstriCon 2 years ago.
Thereabouts.
You and I agree.
Very original one because we did.
Almost like a photo was taken.
Yeah, yes. But then it was just kind of a dream of, Mark saying, yeah, maybe time for me to leave and kind of need to find somebody who actually gets what we're doing, isn't going to come in and just destroy it like a Microsoft or, a proprietary only company. So, we spent kind of 2 years back and forth thinking about it, would it work, and starting those discussions. And, for Sangoma, it was kind of just a natural fit for us. We've been on a rampage of acquisitions, 7 of them in 7 years, 6 of them in 3.5 years, and this one it made sense to us. We got it. We knew the people. I have a lot of friends at Digium. A lot of them I end up hiring over at Sangoma.
I feel like we kind of friend zoned them for a while, and then we kind of warmed up again. Kind of like, all right, we'll look at it again. Why not?
Let's get the band back together.
Yes.
Let's get the band. We're on a mission from God.
Okay. We've got our next question. Okay. Well, you go ahead, but then we've got one in the middle as well. You go first, sir.
Well, my question goes to Mr. Mark there. I got to say, I love the shirt. I'm from Oshkosh, Wisconsin myself. But now that, we've seen, like you said, your focus has changed a little bit. You've sold the company. You're just going to disappear now? Are you going to go away? Are you not coming back anymore?
Well, as long as I'm welcome at AstriCon, I'm going to continue to come to AstriCon because I want to see where people continue to take the project. I mean, obviously, a very large portion of my life has been dedicated to this project, and I want to see it continue to grow and to continue to see the directions that the next generation of developers have been taking it. So I don't plan to be completely unplugged, but I'm working on trying to do the same thing in a different industry now, trying to apply many of the lessons of Asterisk in an industry. Of course, I thought there would never, ever be an industry like telecom that was so far backwards until I got in airplanes and discovered how bad the situation around avionics are.
But you thought telecom was expensive.
For those of you that don't know, so it turns out that avionics, which are the computers in the airplanes, they are sort of transitioning from being a hardware product to being much more software focused, but people keep trying to sell them as if they are a hardware product. There's also this kind of changing regulatory environment that's going on. They're really expensive. They're extremely proprietary. People don't even treat it as software, much less, anything remotely similar to source code is definitely off limits. And so, does this sound like a familiar story to anybody, And people want it to be highly customized, and it's very difficult and very expensive to customize for some reasons that are very technical because of the certification hurdles associated with it, and some that are not very technical just because, market size, all that kind of stuff.
The money.
And the money that's associated with it. So I am building avionics essentially as small software components, and I'm using a lot of lessons of Asterisk for what to do and what not to do, because since we can't have deadlocks, there are no threads and any of this stuff. It's the name of the company is Evolution, and I don't know how many of you guys have airplanes or fly airplanes or anything, but if you're curious, you're welcome to take a look at it. But it's very similar to what I'm trying to do or what I did, I guess, with Asterisk, but I'm trying to do it in this avionics industry. So hopefully your airplane rides will be less expensive and safer, and pilots will have easier time at it.
And you might hear Alison's voice on the tannoy, won't you?
Yeah, that's why. No threads, no dynamic memory allocation. It's totally different.
Okay, let's go to the gentleman in the middle there.
Okay, so will Sangoma continue to rely on free switch as well?
Absolutely. Free switch is actually a core of one of our products. Our SPC lines are based on top of free switch. Again, it would make no sense to go rip that out from a technology standpoint, from a resource standpoint. It wouldn't be business sense to do that. Free switch is a great product. It serves us really well on our SPC platform, so no plans at all for that. And I think Nanad's here. Nanad was kind of the brainchild of the SPC at Sangoma. He's now CTO at Sangoma, and he will be the first to say absolutely not, right?
And we're very pleased to have the Free Switch people here at AstriCon as well.
Absolutely.
Aren't we? Tony and Brian and all those folk. Okay, one
But
right.
what's funny here is Tony, where's Tony? The other Tony.
Maybe he slipped out.
Huh?
He was here.
Oh, okay. We live like an hour apart from each other
Right.
in Wisconsin. It's crazy.
Okay, we've got one right at the back there. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, does Sangoma have any current projects or coming up projects of new technology, core technology that they're looking at, that they're playing with for the future where that could possibly take out Asterisk?
I like how you
I
ended
mean,
that
lots of
question.
companies do.
So you were doing great until the last piece, so I can say the last piece. No, absolutely not.
No?
As far as cool things we're working on, all I can say is we're always looking at really cool things and working on things, and beyond that, I'm going to use selective disclosure.
We got a cool thing.
I'll take one thing too that you know we've built on top of, right, Asterisk as the core is, you know, Zulu. If you guys haven't played with Zulu, I know a lot of you guys in your bags got a QR code to play with it. It's our UC product, soft phone chat. Check it out. You know, a lot of that's been, you know, built on a lot of what Asterisk is able to provide us.
We gave Matt a heart attack when
You
he found
did?
out we built, so Zulu's a stream-based messaging system, so it's phone calls, it's one-on-one chat, private rooms, public rooms, group conversations like WhatsApp and different things. And when we told Matt the whole messaging bus we're using for that is Asterisk, he had a heart attack.
It was a creative use of Asterisk. But you're not using it for all messaging, not all messaging flows, so just using it for certain types of application state and things like that. When you said all messages, it's using it as the message bus, I was like all text messages flowing through Asterisk.
Most things flow through it.
Okay, who's our next question person out there? Are we coming towards an end, do you think, here? Oh, one at the front again, our friend at the front. He's trying to compete with Dan. It's who can ask the most questions here, isn't it?
Okay, I got to ask, are you still in Oshkosh?
Yeah.
Really? What part?
Laura Oshkosh, we're right across the street from, well, Oshkosh Truck, right? Which
Okay.
one?
Okay. I went to school in Oshkosh and lived on for years.
Medalist, we're on Medalist.
Okay.
Drive,
Sorry, guys.
so, no problem. This question is really for everybody in this room. What do you think if we call Mark the godfather of open source VoIP?
If the hat fits.
You'll never lose that time.
So one of the key features that's coming up a lot on deals that we don't always win is the whole true UC, the collaboration, it's screen sharing, it's video conferencing, it's texting, all those things that are the whole UC experience, not just phone calls. What are we doing about that?
So that is what Zulu was designed for, and that's where we talk about, is FreePBX and SwitchVox going to become the same? Absolutely not. They're different clienteles, but things like Zulu can be abstracted out to run on both FreePBX and SwitchVox. And Zulu's been a year and a half of our work.
Yeah.
You know, it's got screen sharing now in it in beta, or not even alpha,
Yeah,
kind of.
So the current iteration of Zulu has a screen sharing in beta. We're working through some issues there. But yeah, the current iteration's been a little over a year's worth of work of just kind of rewriting a lot of the concepts and things that we got feedback from previous versions on, to really give us the base to be able to do the things that exactly what you're talking about of screen sharing, video, soft phone, chat, everything all in one, and really fit that UC market.
Yep.
Yep.
So video's the next piece, and that's what we're talking about with
Yeah.
Asterisk 15, 16, that big push that finally lets us now take Zulu and build the client side for Asterisk 16 with full video support. So that's what the teams are actually starting to investigate. Screen sharing is basically what video is for the most part, right? They're very similar. So we've actually started that work, and that will be coming out in the future with Zulu. And I think, Matt, teams have started dissecting Zulu on SwitchVox, how feasible that's going to be.
We have written that topic down on a whiteboard.
They started looking at some code.
But it's absolutely something we'll be looking into.
Great. I think we've got Carlos over there with a question.
Thank you. Just looking a bit back, we're still in South America. We still use a lot of DDM technology, but more importantly, what is your commitment with R2? That Digium is kind of tepid about it, but Sangoma pushed it a little more.
We basically maintain R2 in the NAD. It was built by us, sponsored by us. Open R2 was. We own the copyright in R2. We're the copyright holders, and we actually use R2 in our commercial products too. So Open R2 is something we're constantly, anytime things come up, bugs come up, like our Vega gateways use Open R2. I believe we're looking at putting it in the IMGs because 2020 doesn't support R2, so we're looking at putting it in there. So our commitment is, if bugs come in and Open R2, we're fixing them.
Great answer. Okay. We're drawing to a close now, but we've probably got time for one or two more questions. Sylvain, Tash, can you get Sylvain down there? Where's our other mic runner disappeared to? James. Oh, right, okay. Thanks. Oh, yeah, we'll leave that one.
So it looks like you are very happy about this acquisition, but we were in Astrisk DevCon today, and it's not easy for me and maybe for those in Astrisk DevCon to understand what is the future of Asterix. What's the vision of Sangoma for Asterix in the future? So, yeah.
Same thing it does today. It's a huge user base of people using the application and building it and supporting it and helping contribute to it. And it's the core of Sangoma. So if you look at FreePBX was the core of Sangoma for years. All the products we sell at Sangoma, not all, but the majority of them are around FreePBX. And FreePBX uses Asterisk, so it's just getting deeper to that core. And Digium's business model is around Asterisk. Without Asterisk, there's nothing to sell.
Yes, Sylvain referred to the DevCon. That's where community developers and Digium and Sangoma people come together. And I personally didn't notice a huge difference today in terms of the agenda. It seemed to follow the same.
So we need Asterisk to keep growing. That's how Sangoma and Digium make money and pay the bills and employ the 350 staff or whatever it is. Without Asterisk growing and continuing to be adopted, our business model doesn't exist. So our business model is around that. And it's not just around FreePBX, it's around Asterisk as a whole. So that's, the people using the Wazoo application that you have and actually, buying phones, whether it's Digium phones or Sangoma phones or Digium cards or Sangoma cards. Those are our customers.
But do you had more developers?
What?
Do you had more developers on Asterix? And what is the next features, next major feature, like scalability, something?
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was going to take it, because I think Tony was answering it from just how the company views the importance of the project. And as I think Matt and Tony answered earlier, there's not necessarily going to be more developers tomorrow working on Asterisk or more developers working on FreePBX, but we have a lot of similarities in our backgrounds. People in both companies know both projects, and so as needs arise, we have a lot more flexibility about being able to put resources on both projects as the needs, as depending upon what we need to do. To your point, though, about where is the project going, one, Matt, you can talk a lot more about that than I can. But I will just sort of keep my CTO hat on for a little bit here. One of the things that I have been interested in for several years with Asterisk is just Asterisk as a larger piece of SIP infrastructure. Because when you reach a certain point in building out a large SIP infrastructure, you need more than just Asterisk. You need more than just Camaleo. These things all become pieces and parts that play very well together. And I mean, I think I've said this on a stage now for a couple of years, wrapping in the wrap-up talks and when we've talked about these things. I view Asterisk as a generic media application server. And so if it's media and it's doing cool things to media, that's Asterisk's job in that kind of infrastructure. Hence the emphasis on video over the past couple of years. I think we've got a lot more things to do in video. There's all sorts of cool stuff you can do with selective forwarding units that we have begun to scratch the surface on. And so there's lots of fertile ground in that area. I think there's a lot of things for us to do to make Asterisk a better player in the kinds of ecosystems that Life and Doug were talking about today. the whole concept of observability, of knowing what's going on inside your Asterisk instance when in about 2 seconds it may just cease to exist. And you've got to actually understand what happened to those calls because your Kubernetes pool just deallocated the resource, but oh wow, well, the MOS scores on one of those calls was really low. What happened? You have to be able to do that without being able to go SSHing into a box and looking at logs because everything's gone. And so there's a lot of work to be done in Asterisk just to make it work within the sorts of scalable infrastructures that we're seeing getting developed in Kubernetes and OpenShift and all these other types of projects. Matt, you have anything else to throw out on there on it?
No, I thought that was great, actually.
Okay.
So, I guess to reiterate, I think you know Sylvain, but I don't, at DevCon every year, we don't declare the direction for the next year. The project, I like to remind everyone that the project is an open source project, and everyone that chooses to be involved with the project gets to declare the direction for the next year. I have some goals and things like that I can represent from a Digium/Sangoma perspective, and we try to attack those goals throughout the year. But the project is bigger than just what Digium or Sangoma decides to do, and it's really up to you and to other people who have a self-interest, a vested interest in the project to determine that direction. My job is just to help to corral that and make sure we're not fighting each other and that we're doing so in a way that leads us forward instead of backwards.
Did that answer your question,
think-
Sylvain? Oh, sorry.
I would add just a couple people had asked, I heard about, is the team going to get bigger? I'd love it. We'd all love it to get bigger. The best way for it to get bigger is buy more Sangoma and Digium products, right? I mean, that's how we fund this, guys. I'm not here for a sales pitch, but how do you fund Asterisk get bigger? Buy more of our products, support more of Digium and Sangoma.
Didn't you have some breaking news about the D phones and FreePBX, Tony?
Oh, absolutely. So D phones are fully supported in FreePBX, free of use, for all the phone apps and Endpoint Manager, just like Sangoma phones. You don't have to pay for it anymore.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for your question, Sylvain. Any more questions as we come towards an end now? This is an opportunity that you've got a gentleman right at the back. Go ahead, sir.
One last. First, I'm sure everybody in this room would like to congratulate both companies and all your men up on that stage for the great work you're doing in keeping these projects alive. My last question is, as a company that's making an investment in the underlying technology and building our products on top of your products, it seems to be apparent that as long as we follow the guidelines and you're layering on top of the core your new development, as long as we're basically building off of what you expose to us in the APIs, we should be good no matter what happens in the underlying core if you should come across changes or whatever you want to make. So I guess I'm correct in saying that? Yep.
Yeah, so if you're
well,
using...
congratulations. I thank you anyway.
Thank you.
I'm sure
We will all thank these guys in a moment as we come to a close, but we've got probably time for one more question, sir, over there. Tash, can you get to that gentleman, please?
So being someone that likes technology, is there any look
hate it,
at
by the way.
augmented reality being introduced into the telco industry for uses in call centers and stuff like that, or support centers, where you could actually have user interactions back into providing support?
How do you define augmented reality?
Like Apple's AR or other people's AR stuff, where basically it allows you to have interactive into the visual realm with also digital.
That sounds like a really exciting thing to do that I haven't looked at yet.
You should. Dan's got to talk.
Yes.
That's Dan Jenkins.
Dan always leading on the bleeding edge.
Yeah. Yes, okay, thank you. I mean, but it's a very important message about buying Sangoma and Digium stuff. Because if you want to see the projects continued, that's the only way. If you buy some cheap...
Not continue. They'll keep continuing.
Yeah,
they want to see them grow.
Yeah, flourish.
Yes.
Okay, so the gentleman said we should congratulate these people, and we should. Let's say thank you to all 5 of our panelists. So if you want photo opportunities, who would like a little chat, they'll be here. for a few minutes yet, and then the grand opening of the expo hall will be happening soon. So that's the next thing to do. Thank you very much.